As you make your way through the different regions of Where Winds Meet, bosses start becoming a regular part of the journey, and some of them definitely leave a stronger impression than others. While a few bosses later show up as normal enemies, there are also those special encounters you can only experience inside campaign domains. The God of Avarice falls right into that second category, and the good news is you don't need to jump through any hoops to fight him. If you're progressing naturally through the story, this fight will come to you at the perfect moment. When you reach Kaifeng, the second major region after Qinghe, the story takes a noticeable turn, and things start getting more intense. Around level 54, the God of Avarice steps in as one of the key bosses of this chapter, making him impossible to miss if you're following the main quest. In this video, we'll break down how this boss works, what to watch out for, and how to deal with him without turning the fight into a frustrating wall. If you're about to face the God of Avarice or just want to be prepared, you're in the right place.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel.
If you enjoy these types of
don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos.
Subscribe. Enjoy watching.
Thanks.
Once you arrive in Kaifeng and unlock the central part of the map by talking to the map non-player character, the game drops you into a massive city packed with buildings and story content. At this point, you will notice two different campaign boss markers on the map. As you naturally follow the main story inside the city, the first boss you are led to is the Dao Lord, which is located in the bottom right section of Kaifeng. This fight is basically the game's way of warming you up and making sure you are paying attention before things start getting more serious. If you keep pushing the story forward, you will eventually reach the Furnace of Righteousness quest, and yes, it is that huge furnace you have seen teased multiple times before. You break inside, things escalate quickly, and this is where the God of Avarice boss fight finally happens. By the time you reach the end of this section, it becomes very clear who the real villain of the region is, and the fight feels like a proper payoff to everything Kaifeng has been building up to. This is exactly why the God of Avarice boss encounter stands out so much in Where Winds Meet. When it comes to how to beat the God of Avarice, the key thing to understand is that this is one of the few boss fights in Where Winds Meet that is split into three distinct phases. The first two phases are where the real combat happens, and thankfully, the boss does not overwhelm you with a huge variety of attacks. Most of his moves are clearly telegraphed, which makes them fairly easy to read and memorize after a few attempts, especially if you stay calm and do not get greedy with your damage. The third phase is a bit different and does not play out like a traditional boss fight at all. Instead of testing your combat skills directly, it feels more like a final story-driven moment that wraps up the encounter. Because of this, once you are comfortable dealing with the attacks from the earlier phases, the rest of the fight becomes much more manageable. Take your time, focus on positioning, and this boss quickly turns from intimidating to surprisingly straightforward. During phase 1, the God of Avarice mainly relies on melee attacks using his single-handed weapon. On paper, this sounds simple, but there is a small twist that can easily catch you off guard. His attacks are slightly delayed compared to most enemies you have fought so far in Where Winds Meet. Because of this, many players instinctively press the deflect button too early and end up taking unnecessary damage. To deal with this properly, you should consciously delay your deflect timing during his melee combos. Give the attack an extra moment before reacting, and you will notice how much more consistent your deflects become. Staying patient here is far more important than trying to rush damage, especially early in the fight. Occasionally, the boss will summon an orb that fires small projectiles across the arena. These projectiles are not very threatening on their own and can be sidestepped without much effort. The real danger comes from the fact that the God of Avarice often continues his melee attacks while these projectiles are still active, forcing you to manage both at the same time. In some cases, he will move to the center of the arena and start levitating in the air. When this happens, your priority should be creating distance as quickly as possible. Move away from the center and start strafing sideways, which makes it much easier to avoid both the incoming projectiles and the laser attack he fires shortly after. Getting hit by the laser triggers a special animation and deals a significant amount of damage, so avoiding it is crucial. Fortunately, the boss has relatively low health during this first phase. Once you get comfortable with his delayed attack timings and special patterns, you can push through this phase quickly and move on to the second phase without too much trouble. Just like many other boss fights in Where Winds Meet, the second phase is where most players struggle the most. At this point, the God of Avarice switches to dual-wielded weapons and gains an entirely new set of melee attacks. Some of these combos are faster and more aggressive, and every now and then he will merge the weapons to perform a single-handed attack that feels similar to what you dealt with in the first phase. The most dangerous part of this phase is easily the money-based attack. The boss will scatter large piles of money across the arena and then slam them down, dealing massive damage over a wide area. The slam is clearly telegraphed, so you usually have enough time to react, but missing the dodge can be devastating. If your equipment is not properly upgraded, this attack can almost one-shot you. Because of this, it is strongly recommended to enter this fight with the best gear you can get at this point in the game. A few upgrades to your endurance also make a noticeable difference, giving you more room to dodge, reposition, and survive longer combos during this phase. During phase 2, the God of Avarice also gains 2 different spinning attacks. In one version, he spins directly towards you with his weapon, while in the other, he throws the spinning weapon across the battlefield. These attacks can usually be deflected by rapidly pressing the deflect button, but you need to stay alert, as they can sometimes turn into yellow attacks that cannot be deflected. Throughout the fight, you can pick up the money piles left on the ground to gain 10 Echo Jades each. However, doing this comes with a risk. Each pickup fills a greed bar in the center of your screen, and collecting 3 piles in a row will completely fill it, leaving you immobilized for a significant amount of time. Right before you finish the boss in this phase, will trigger a special move that gives him a yellow coin shield on his health bar. Do not panic here. You can quickly remove this shield by continuing to attack him or by successfully deflecting his moves, which lets you close out the phase and move toward the end of the fight. The third phase of the God of Avarice fight is more of a spectacle than a traditional battle, since you cannot damage the boss directly anymore. Your main goal here is survival. Focus entirely on dodging and deflecting his attacks while watching his weapon closely. After certain patterns, a glowing red eye will appear, and this is your only real opening. Use your bow to shoot the eye, which removes 1/3 of his health or shield bar in a single hit. Repeat this process 3 times and the fight ends. Most of his attacks during this phase can still be deflected, so staying composed and keeping your timing sharp goes a long way. However, he will also summon golden-colored believers around the arena. These act as an area denial mechanic, forcing you to reposition constantly, since staying too close to them will quickly drain your health. Keep moving, manage your space carefully, and wait patiently for the red eye to appear to finish the battle cleanly. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.